Welcome back, and thank you for tuning into Infidelity Tales Lab. We appreciate every single one of you. We'd love to know, what part of the world are you watching from right now? Let us know in the comments. Now, let's dive into today's story. The autumn wind carried the scent of wet concrete and steel across the construction site. Samuel Estes stood at the edge of the massive bridge project, his weathered hands gripping the safety railing as he watched the sunset paint the sky in shades of amber and gold. At 42, he'd earned every gray hair that peppered his temples, along with his reputation as the state's most reliable structural engineer. Mr. Estes called out Mike Chun, his site supervisor, jogging up at the tablet. Final safety checks are complete. Everything's exceeding specifications by at least 15%. Samuel nodded, taking the tablet to review the numbers. Good work, Mike. This is why we do double shifts. Excellence isn't achieved by cutting corners. Mike hesitated before speaking again. Sir, some of the crew were wondering, will you be joining us for drinks tonight? It's becoming a tradition, you know. Can't tonight. Need to review the contractor proposals for the support structure. Samuel handed back the tablet. The $50 million we're getting for this project comes with responsibilities. Your wife must be a saint, putting up with these hours, Mike said, shaking his head. Samuel's expression remained neutral. Vivian understands what it takes to build a legacy. He didn't mention the growing distance between them, or how her understanding seemed to correlate with his increasing income. Walking to his truck, Samuel checked his phone. 3 missed calls from Howard. His younger brother had been unusually persistent lately, leaving cryptic voicemails about needing to discuss something important about Vivian. Samuel deleted the notifications. Howard had always been prone to dramatics, especially when he needed money. The drive home took him past the new luxury shopping district. Samuel noticed a familiar car parked outside one of the boutiques, Vivian's red Mercedes, the one he'd bought her for their 15th anniversary. He checked his watch. 7:30 p.m. Her yoga class with Celeste should have ended an hour ago. He pulled into their circular driveway 20 minutes later, the security lights illuminating their colonial-style home. Inside, he found Derek sprawled on the living room couch, his 16-year-old son's attention completely absorbed by his phone. Hey, son, Samuel said, setting down his briefcase. Derek barely glanced up. Hey. Samuel noticed 3 shopping bags from high-end boutiques by the stairs. The logos matched the stores he'd passed earlier. Your mother home? Nah, still at yoga with Celeste. Derek's thumbs flew across his phone screen. Said she'd be back late. Samuel loosened his tie, studying his son's face for any sign of awareness or concern. Finding none, he headed to his home office. The room was his sanctuary, walls lined with engineering awards and family photos. He paused at one from their vacation in Maui 5 years ago. Vivian's smile seemed genuine then. His phone buzzed. Howard again. What? Samuel answered, his voice carrying 18 years of dealing with his brother's crises. Sam, we need to talk. Howard's voice was urgent. It's about Vivian. I've been trying to reach you. Unless the house is on fire, it can wait until tomorrow. Samuel cut him off. I've got proposals to review, but... Good night, Howard. Samuel ended the call. He settled into his work, losing himself in calculations and safety margins until he heard the garage door opening at 10:45 p.m. Vivian's footsteps echoed through the house, accompanied by the rustle of shopping bags. She appeared in his office doorway, perfectly made up despite her supposed workout. Her designer workout outfit looked pristine, not a hint of sweat. You're working late again, she said, leaning against the doorframe. You know what they say about all work and no play. Samuel looked up, meeting her eyes. Someone has to pay for those shopping bags. A flash of something, guilt, defiance, crossed her face before she smiled. Just treating myself a little. You're always saying I should enjoy the fruits of your labor. That I do. He returned to his work. There's leftover lasagna in the fridge if you're hungry after your workout. Oh, Celeste and I grabbed a bite after class. She pushed off the doorframe. Don't stay up too late, darling. Samuel waited until her footsteps faded before opening his laptop's browser. He typed in Celeste Yoga Instructor, followed by their zip code. 0 results. He tried variations of the search, but nothing matched Vivian's supposed new friend. The next morning, Samuel arrived at the office early. The project headquarters occupied the top floor of a downtown high-rise, offering views of his bridge project in the distance. His assistant, Maria, intercepted him with coffee and updates. IT flagged something odd, she said, handing him a report. Someone tried accessing your email from an unauthorized device yesterday. Samuel scanned the report. Were they successful? No, our security blocked it. They traced the IP to a local business, Jacobson Properties. Samuel kept his expression neutral as he memorized the address. Probably spam bots. Have IT update our filters. The morning passed in a blur of meetings and site inspections. During lunch, Samuel drove past Jacobson Properties, a modern office building with floor-to-ceiling windows. Through the glass, he could see a man in an expensive suit showing a property listing to a couple. The agent's smile was too white, too practiced. His phone buzzed with a text from Howard. This isn't fair to you. We need to talk about what Vivian's doing. Samuel muted the conversation. That evening, he worked later than usual, calling Vivian to say he'd be home after 9. He parked his truck a block from their house at 8, walking back in the growing darkness. As he approached, he noticed an unfamiliar car parked down the street, a black BMW with dealer plates. The house was mostly dark, except for the master bedroom window. Samuel circled to the back, where the patio doors offered a view of the kitchen. Derek sat at the island, headphones on, arguing with someone on his phone. Bro, your mom's really brave, Derek was saying, laughing. Having her lover over while your dad's at work. He paused, listening. The fool works double shifts to give us a good life, while mom spends wild nights with her boyfriends. Samuel felt ice in his veins, but his mind remained clear. He recorded the conversation on his phone, his hands steady. His phone vibrated, another text from Howard. I can't keep this secret anymore. Vivian's selling the house behind your back. Samuel walked to his truck, drove to a nearby park, and called Julie Braun, a private investigator he'd worked with on construction fraud cases. I need your services, he said when she answered. Personal matter. Discretion is essential. Of course, Julie replied. What's the target? My wife, Vivian Estes, and a real estate agent named Jacobson. Initial report within 48 hours, Julie said. Standard rates apply. Money's not an issue. Samuel ended the call. He drove home at 10, finding the house quiet. Derek's door was closed, music thumping behind it. The master bedroom smelled of unfamiliar cologne, masked by cleaning products. Vivian was in the in-soot bathroom, the shower running. Samuel changed for bed, noting the slightly wrinkled sheets. On Vivian's nightstand, her phone buzzed with a text. Amazing as always. Can't wait until next time. He didn't react, didn't confront. Instead, he opened his laptop and began documenting everything. Dates, times, observations. In his profession, details meant the difference between structural integrity and catastrophic failure. The shower stopped. Vivian emerged in silk pajamas, her hair wrapped in a towel. You're home late, she said, slipping into bed. Big project. Samuel kept his voice even. How was yoga? Oh, wonderful. Celeste's really helping me improve my form. Samuel nodded, making another mental note. Every lie was another crack in the foundation of their marriage. But unlike his bridges, he wouldn't be repairing this structure. He'd be demolishing it. The next morning, Samuel maintained his routine. He kissed Vivian goodbye, nodded to Derek, and drove to work. But instead of going to the site, he visited his lawyer, Marcus Chun. I need everything documented, Samuel explained, sharing his observations and recordings. But I also need to understand what I'm dealing with before making any moves. Marcus reviewed the evidence. Smart. Most people confront immediately lose their advantage. What's your next step? Waiting for my PI's report. Then I'll decide how to proceed. Samuel stood to leave. One more thing. I need you to quietly prepare divorce papers. But don't file anything yet. You're handling this well, Marcus observed. Samuel paused at the door. Engineering taught me something valuable, Marcus. When you discover a structural weakness, you don't immediately evacuate the building. You study the problem, develop a plan, and then execute it precisely. He spent the rest of the day at the bridge site, reviewing safety protocols and inspecting support structures. Work was his anchor, the one thing he could trust completely. Numbers didn't lie. Steel didn't betray. That evening, Howard called again. "Sam, please," his brother begged. "You need to know what's happening. Vivian is coming clean?" Samuel interrupted. "Or are you just playing your part?" A pause. "What?" "Nothing." Samuel's voice remained calm. "Tell me about Andre Jacobson." The sharp intake of breath on the other end told him everything. "How did you—" "Goodbye, Howard." Samuel hung up, adding another piece to the puzzle. In his home office that night, Samuel reviewed the preliminary report from Julie. Andre Jacobson wasn't just a real estate agent. He was a rising star in luxury property sales, known for quick, undermarket deals that somehow always benefited his select circle of clients. And Howard's name appeared in Andre's client list 3 times in the past year. Samuel leaned back in his chair, the pieces falling into place. His brother's sudden concern wasn't guilt. It was part of the plan. Howard would warn him about Vivian's affair, leading to a messy divorce where she'd get the house. Andre would facilitate a quick, undervalued sale, and Howard would get a kickback for his role as the concerned brother. The betrayal was elegant in its complexity. His wife, his brother, and her lover had constructed their own bridge, one built on lies and manipulation. Samuel smiled slightly. They had forgotten something crucial. He was an engineer. He understood structural weakness better than anyone, and he knew exactly how to make their carefully constructed plan collapse. Samuel sat in his office, reviewing Julie Braun's preliminary report. The private investigator's reputation for discretion had made her the perfect choice for this delicate situation. Her findings confirmed his suspicions and revealed far more. "Your wife's not just having an affair," Julie said, spreading photographs across his desk. "She's part of something bigger. Look at this beach house." She pointed to an aerial shot of a luxurious oceanfront property. Officially valued at $2.3 million, sold for $1.1 million last month. "Guess who facilitated the sale?" "Andre Jacobson," Samuel replied, studying the document trail. "And guess who's been spotted there every Tuesday and Thursday?" Julie slid forward another photo showing Vivian's red Mercedes parked in the driveway. "Who owns it?" "On paper, a shell corporation. But the property was purchased with funds that trace back to your old friend, Rich O'Brien." Samuel's jaw tightened. Rich had been his best friend for 20 years, their families vacationing together, their children growing up as friends. "Show me everything." Julie pulled out more files. "Rich isn't just covering for Vivian's affair. He's helping Andre launder money through undervalued property sales. They buy high-end properties, artificially deflate the value, sell them under market price, and pocket the difference through offshore accounts. And Howard? Your brother's involved, but he's small-time compared to the others. He thinks he's just helping orchestrate a divorce scheme. He has no idea he's part of a money-laundering operation." Samuel absorbed the information, his mind already formulating plans. "Keep digging. I want to know everyone involved, every property, every dollar." "There's more." Julie hesitated. "Your wife's been pushing to sell your house, right? She mentioned wanting something more modern last week. It's part of their scheme. They're planning to undervalue your property by at least 40%. Andre's already got a buyer lined up, another shell company." Samuel's phone buzzed with a text from Vivian. "Honey, I've been thinking about what we discussed. I found a great real estate agent who could help us look at new houses. His name is Andre Jacobson." "Perfect timing," Samuel muttered, showing Julie the message. "What are you going to do?" "Play along." Samuel typed a response. "Sounds great." "Set up a meeting." After Julie left, Samuel called his project manager. "Mike, remember those stress tests we ran on the bridge support columns? I need something similar for a personal matter." "What kind of stress test?" "I need to push some people until they crack. But first, I need to know exactly how much pressure they can take." The next day, Samuel agreed to meet Andre Jacobson at his office. The real estate agent exuded artificial charm, his smile never reaching his eyes. "Mr. Estes," Andre stood, extending his hand. "Your wife has told me so much about you." "Has she?" Samuel's grip was firm, professional. "Funny, she hasn't mentioned you until recently." Andre's smile flickered. "Well, I specialize in discreet transactions. Some of my clients prefer privacy, like the beach house on Ocean Drive." A pause, almost imperceptible. I'm not familiar with that property. No. My friend Rich O'Brien might refresh your memory. Andre's facade cracked slightly. Perhaps we should focus on your house. Vivian mentioned you're interested in something more contemporary. Actually, Samuel leaned forward. I'm interested in a lot of things. Property valuations, market manipulation, money laundering. The color drained from Andre's face. I think there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. Samuel stood. Just a miscalculation. On your part. He walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Andre? Tell my wife I'm looking forward to our dinner party this weekend. The one where you'll be discussing our property's potential value. Back at his office, Samuel received another report from Julie. The web of corruption was larger than they'd imagined. Andre Jacobson wasn't just running local scams. He was under federal investigation for a massive property fraud scheme spanning 3 states. Samuel's phone rang. Howard, have you met with Andre yet? His brother's voice was eager, worried. Just left his office. Interesting guy. Samuel kept his tone casual. You've worked with him before, haven't you? I might have done some consulting. Must be profitable. That new boat of yours looks expensive. Sam, listen about Vivian. Save it for the dinner party, Howard. You're coming, right? Andre's going to discuss selling our house. A long pause. I'll be there. Samuel spent the next few days gathering evidence. Julie's investigations revealed more players. Local judges who fast-track property transfers, bank managers who overlook suspicious transactions, and at the center of it all, Andre Jacobson, orchestrating everything with calculated precision. The dinner party was set for Saturday evening. Vivian had invited Andre, Howard, and Rich, along with several other couples, unwitting witnesses to what would unfold. Darling, Vivian called from their bedroom as she dressed. Are you sure you're comfortable with Andre handling the sale? He mentioned his commission is a bit higher than standard. Samuel adjusted his tie in the mirror. I trust your judgment, dear. After all, Howard and Rich both recommend him highly. She appeared behind him, elegant in a black dress that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. They do. In fact, Rich was just telling me about a beautiful beach house Andre helped him acquire. Ocean Drive, I believe. Vivian's reflection paled slightly. I wouldn't know anything about that. No. Samuel turned to face her. Funny, your car seems to know the route quite well. Before she could respond, the doorbell rang. Their guests had arrived. The evening progressed like a carefully choreographed dance. Andre held court in the living room, discussing property values and market trends with practiced charm. Howard hovered nervously at the edges of conversations, while Rich tried too hard to act natural. During dinner, Samuel stood to make a toast. To new beginnings, he said, raising his glass. And to true friends who always have your best interests at heart. His eyes met each of theirs in turn, Vivian, Andre, Howard, Rich. None could hold his gaze for long. After dessert, Samuel suggested the men retire to his study for brandy. Once the door closed, he activated a recording device in his pocket. Gentlemen, he began, let's discuss the real estate market. Specifically, how to manipulate it for personal gain. Andre's smile became fixed. I'm not sure what you're implying. No implications, Andre. Just facts. Samuel opened his laptop, turning it to face them. Like the fact that you're under federal investigation for fraud. Or that my brother here gets kickbacks for referring desperate divorcing couples to you. Or that Rich has been helping you launder money through undervalued property sales. The color drained from their faces. You're bluffing, Andre said, but his voice lacked conviction. Am I? Samuel played a recording of Derek's phone conversation about his mother's affairs, followed by snippets of Howard's conversations with Andre about the divorce scheme. Jesus, Sam, Howard whispered. I can explain. No need. Samuel's voice was cold. The FBI will handle the explanations. Unless what? Rich asked, sweat beading on his forehead. Unless you all start talking. Now, everything you know about Andre's operation. Every property, every deal, every player involved. You're making a mistake. Andre stood, straightening his jacket. You have no idea who you're dealing with. No, Andre. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Samuel smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I build bridges for a living. I understand structural integrity. And right now, your whole operation is about to collapse. The study door opened, and Vivian entered. Is everything all right in here? We can hear Ray's voices. She stopped, taking in the scene. Andre's rigid posture, Howard's pale face, Rich's nervous fidgeting. Perfect timing, dear, Samuel said. We were just discussing real estate fraud and money laundering. You know, those Tuesday and Thursday meetings at the beach house. Vivian's composure cracked. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Samuel turned back to the men. You have 24 hours to decide. Either you help me take down the bigger players, or you go down with them. You're insane, Andre snarled. We'll destroy you. Samuel's laugh was genuine. With what? The recordings Vivian's been making of our arguments? The one she planned to use as evidence of emotional abuse. He held up her phone. Next time, don't sync your devices to our home cloud storage. The dinner party ended abruptly after that. As their guests fled into the night, Samuel watched from his study window. His phone buzzed, a message from Julie. FBI contact confirmed. They want to meet tomorrow. Samuel smiled. The foundation was laid. Now it was time to build something new, something that would last long after the dust settled. He turned to find Vivian in the doorway, her carefully constructed world crumbling around her. How long have you known? She asked. Long enough to understand that our marriage wasn't the only thing you were willing to sacrifice. He walked past her toward their bedroom. Pack what you need for a few days. When the FBI starts making arrests, I'd rather not have to explain why my wife is still living here. You'd really do this? After 18 years? Samuel paused. You know what separates a good engineer from a great one, Vivian? A great engineer knows that sometimes the most important thing isn't building something to last. It's knowing exactly where to place the charges when you need to bring something down. He left her standing there, her perfect world collapsing like a house of cards in a storm. Tomorrow, he would meet with the FBI. Tomorrow, he would begin dismantling everything Andre and his conspirators had built. But tonight, he would sleep soundly, knowing that the fools weren't the ones working double shifts. The fools were those who thought they could outsmart a man who understood that every structure, no matter how carefully built, had its breaking point. And Samuel Estes had found theirs. Monday morning dawned clear and cold. Samuel arrived at his office at 6 a.m., reviewing the final pieces of his plan. The FBI agents would raid Andre's office at precisely 9 a.m., when Vivian would be at her supposed yoga class. Actually, her regular meeting with Andre at the beach house. Everything's in position, Agent Sarah Martinez reported via secure line. Teams are standing by at all targeted locations. Good. Samuel checked his watch. Remember, Judge Jennifer Browning needs to be handled separately. She'll try to interfere the moment she hears about the raids. Already covered. We have a team at the courthouse with a warrant for her records. Once we move on Andre, she won't have time to destroy evidence. Samuel opened his laptop, connecting to his legal team's secure server. The emergency motions were prepared, ready to file in a different district court, one far from Jennifer Browning's influence. His phone buzzed, a text from Vivian, heading to yoga. Don't wait up for dinner. Working late with Celeste on a new routine, Samuel allowed himself a small smile. The timing couldn't have been better. At 8:55 a.m., he called his company's CFO. Jim, remember those documents we discussed? Process the bonus transfer now. You sure about this, Sam? It's irregular to release project bonuses early. The documentation citing personal issues is all there. Trust me, by noon you'll understand. At precisely 9 a.m., Samuel watched the security feed he'd arranged at Andre's office. FBI agents swarmed the building, their movements precise and coordinated. Through another feed, he saw similar scenes playing out at the beach house and Judge Browning's chambers. His phone exploded with notifications. Howard, what the hell is happening? FBI at Andre's office. Rich, they're saying something about fraud investigation. Call me. Vivian, why are there federal agents here? Samuel ignored them all, focusing on his computer screen as his lawyers filed the emergency motions. By 10 a.m., they had secured orders freezing all associated assets, including those cleverly hidden in shell corporations. At 10:30 a.m., his real estate agent, one with an actual legitimate practice, called. Mr. Estes, the offer's been accepted. The buyers can close today. Perfect. Process everything immediately. By 11 a.m., Samuel had transferred every joint account into his name, securing their contents before Vivian or her conspirators could touch them. Derek's college fund was moved into an irrevocable trust with strict conditions, maintaining a 3.5 GPA, attending counseling, and working part-time. The first to arrive at his office was Vivian, her yoga outfit pristine despite her claims of an intense workout. Andre followed close behind, his usual smooth demeanor replaced by barely controlled rage. "What have you done?" Vivian demanded, storming into his office. Samuel looked up calmly. "Interesting yoga class? The beach house does have a lovely view." "You smug bastard," Andre stepped forward. "You have no idea what you've started. I have judges in my pocket." "Like Jennifer Browning?" Samuel interrupted. "Vivian's cousin? She's rather busy with federal agents at the moment." The color drained from both their faces. "You can't prove anything," Vivian recovered first. "I have recordings of your emotional abuse, your controlling behavior." "You mean these recordings?" Samuel played a clip from his computer, Vivian's voice instructing Andre on how to edit their arguments to sound worse than they were. "Next time, don't sync your phone to our home cloud storage." Howard and Rich burst in, both looking desperate. "Sam, please," Howard begged. "Whatever you think is happening is exactly what's happening." Agent Martinez entered with two other FBI agents. "Mr. Jacobson, we have a warrant for your arrest. Money laundering, fraud, conspiracy." "You're making a mistake." Andre straightened his tie. "My lawyers will already be busy defending themselves," Samuel cut in. "The FBI is particularly interested in how you've been helping Judge Browning fast-track property transfers through her court." Rich collapsed into a chair. "Oh God, the beach house sales. Just the tip of the iceberg," Agent Martinez said. "Mr. O'Brien, you and Mr. Estes, Howard, that is, might want to call your lawyers too. The money laundering charges alone carry significant prison time." Derek appeared in the doorway, drawn by the commotion. His face paled seeing his mother with Andre, federal agents reading rights, his uncle, and Rich looking devastated. "Dad," his voice cracked. "What's going on?" "Actions have consequences," Samuel replied evenly. "Remember those jokes about your mother's affairs? About your fool father working double shifts? Turns out I wasn't the fool after all." Derek's carefully curated social life imploded as his friend's parents learned of his role in covering up his mother's affairs. The recordings of his cruel jokes spread through his social circle, leaving him isolated and ashamed. Vivian tried one last attack. "I'll take everything in the divorce. The house, the accounts, already sold, legally and above market value," Samuel interrupted. "As for the accounts, they're secure. Derek's college fund is in trust. You might want to focus on finding a good criminal lawyer instead." "You orchestrated all of this," Andre realized. "You played us?" "No, Andre. You played yourselves. I just understood the structural weaknesses in your plan. Like that bridge I'm building, it's all about understanding where the pressure points are." The FBI agents led Andre away first, followed by Rich and Howard. Vivian remained, her perfect world shattered. 18 years, she whispered. "Thrown away for what?" "Revenge." "Justice," Samuel corrected. "The FBI estimates your boyfriend's scheme bankrupted dozens of families. Consider yourself lucky. You're only facing fraud charges. Jennifer Browning's looking at disbarment and federal prosecution." In the aftermath, Samuel's reputation grew stronger. The FBI investigation revealed the full scope of Andre's operation. Millions in stolen property values, dozens of families affected. Samuel's evidence helped recover much of the money, earning him immunity and respect. Months later, Derek stood in Samuel's new home, a modest but elegant house bought with his project bonus. "I'm sorry, Dad," Derek said, his voice heavy with shame. "I was stupid and cruel." "Yes, you were." Samuel remained firm. "Your trust fund has conditions now. Maintain a 3.5 GPA, attend counseling, work part-time. Show me you understand the value of honest work." "What about Mom?" "That's her journey now. Focus on yours." The criminal trials made headlines. Vivian, Andre, Howard, and Rich faced federal charges. Jennifer Browning was disbarred, her judicial corruption exposed. The man they dismissed as a workaholic fool had dismantled their entire operation with the same precision he used to build his bridges. 1 year later, Samuel stood at the opening ceremony of his bridge project. The mayor praised its design, its strength, its integrity. But Samuel knew the real achievement wasn't in the steel and concrete spanning the river. It was in the lessons taught. That patience outweighs passion. That true strength lies in understanding structural weaknesses. That some things need to be torn down before something better can be built. And most importantly, that the fool isn't the one working double shifts to build something lasting. The fools are those who mistake dedication for weakness, integrity for naivety. They never understood that Samuel Estes didn't just build bridges. Epilogue, 5 years later. The state penitentiary's visitor room was cold and sterile. Vivian Estes, now inmate 247813, sat in her orange jumpsuit, the past 5 years having stripped away her designer clothes, perfectly maintained appearance, and arrogant demeanor. Her once immaculate hair showed strands of gray, her face lined with the consequences of her choices. Conjugal visits are on Thursdays. The guard smirked, leading Samuel to the visitor's booth. Just finalizing some paperwork, Samuel replied, his voice professional. The guard nodded. Everyone knew the story. It had been front-page news for months. Vivian picked up the phone, her hands showing the rough were of prison work duty. Come to gloat. No. Samuel placed divorce papers against the glass. Just need your signature. Unless you want to drag this out another 5 years. She stared at him, searching for any sign of the man she'd thought she could manipulate. Instead, she found the steel she'd always mistaken for weakness. 5 years wasn't enough? I lost everything. You gave everything away, Samuel corrected. There's a difference. The maximum security wing housed Andre Jacobson in considerably worse conditions. His property empire had crumbled spectacularly once the FBI's evidence went public. The investigation had uncovered over $50 million in fraudulent property deals, affecting more than 100 families. Andre's sleek suits were replaced by prison denim, his confident smile erased by the reality of a 20-year sentence. His attempts to bargain for a lighter sentence had backfired when the FBI discovered connections to international money laundering operations. Mr. Jacobson, the prison counselor noted during a mandated session, your appeal was denied again. Those properties were legitimate deals, Andre insisted, clinging to his delusions. The federal court disagrees. The evidence Mr. Estes provided was quite thorough. Andre's prison account showed regular deposits from Celeste, his actual wife of 15 years, who'd been living in Europe, unaware of his multiple affairs and fraud schemes until the FBI knocked on her door. She divorced him immediately, but guilt kept her sending small amounts for his commissary. Howard Estes served his sentence in a minimum security facility, his role as a minor player earning him a lighter 5-year term. He'd written dozens of letters to Samuel, each returned unopened. His boat, house, and savings were seized to repay victims of the fraud scheme. Released after 3 years for good behavior, Howard found himself living in a small apartment in another state, working as a grocery store manager. His dating profile listed rebuilding family relationships as a goal, but Samuel's number remained blocked. Rich O'Brien's 7-year sentence came with a $2 million fine. His wife Susan had divorced him immediately after the arrest, his children refused contact, and his accounting license was permanently revoked. The beach house was sold at auction, the proceeds going to fraud victims. Judge Jennifer Browning's fall was perhaps the most spectacular. Disbarred and sentenced to 12 years for judicial corruption, she became a cautionary tale taught in law schools. Her judicial pension was revoked, her reputation destroyed, and her wealthy husband divorced her, leaving her future post-release bleak. Derek's path to redemption proved challenging but transformative. Following his father's strict conditions, he maintained a 3.9 GPA through college, working part-time at a local engineering firm. His counseling sessions revealed deep-seated issues about loyalty and integrity, which he worked hard to address. Dad, Derek said during their weekly dinner, now a tradition 5 years running. I got accepted to the master's program in structural engineering. Samuel looked up from his meal. pride carefully measured. Your own merit? Completely. No shortcuts, no favors. I learned that lesson. The bridge that started everything became an award-winning project, featured in engineering journals worldwide. Samuel's innovation in stress distribution earned him patents that generated substantial royalties. But more importantly, it stood as a testament to integrity, both in construction and character. Samuel's firm, now renamed Estes and Associates, specialized in both construction and fraud prevention consulting. His experience had created an unexpected niche, helping companies identify and prevent internal schemes similar to what he'd uncovered. Julie Braun became his head of security operations, her private investigation skills proving invaluable in their corporate work. Another construction company looking for audit protection, she reported, dropping a file on his desk. They heard about the Jacobson case. Samuel's personal life had also rebuilt on stronger foundations. He'd married Dr. Sarah Chun, a structural materials scientist he'd met during a conference. She understood his dedication to work, sharing his passion for building things that last. The irony, Sarah mentioned one evening, reviewing case files with him, is that Vivian never understood what real security meant. She saw the double shifts as weakness, Samuel agreed. Never realized I was building something bigger than a paycheck. The victims of Andre's schemes had mostly recovered their losses, thanks to Samuel's meticulous documentation. The FBI's asset recovery team, led by Agent Martinez, had traced and returned over $40 million to affected families. Mr. Estes, Martinez said during a fraud prevention seminar they jointly conducted, "Your case literally rewrote our playbook on real estate fraud investigation." Samuel's methodical approach had exposed vulnerabilities in property transaction laws, leading to regulatory reforms. The Estes Protocol became standard procedure for investigating suspected property fraud schemes. Vivian's release date approached with little fanfare. Her prison counselor's reports noted minimal remorse, mostly regret at being caught. Her attempts to write a tell-all book failed when publishers realized Samuel's documentation left no room for her to spin the story. Andre, serving his longer sentence, had aged dramatically. Prison fights had left him with a permanent limp, his charm useless in a place where everyone knew his crimes. His appeals fund was depleted, his former contacts had abandoned him, and his cell walls were covered with elaborate property schemes he could never execute. Howard, struggling in his new life, finally found a purpose coaching youth basketball at a community center. He'd written one final letter to Samuel. "I know you'll never forgive me. I don't deserve it. But watching these kids learn about teamwork and trust, I finally understand what I destroyed. Some foundations can't be rebuilt." Samuel kept the letter, unopened, in his desk drawer. Derek graduated with honors, his thesis on structural integrity in high-stress environments winning academic awards. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. He'd started dating Maria, a law student specializing in corporate fraud prevention. "Your son's nothing like you described him 5 years ago," one of Samuel's colleagues mentioned. He needed to understand that integrity isn't just about following rules, Samuel replied. It's about building something worth keeping. The Estes Protocol expanded beyond fraud prevention. Companies worldwide adopted its principles for corporate governance, recognizing that structural integrity applied to organizations as much as buildings. Samuel's new home, modest despite his success, reflected his unchanged values. The basement held boxes of evidence from the case, a reminder that justice, like engineering, required attention to detail and unwavering principles. Sarah had added her own touches, a laboratory for testing building materials, and a library filled with books on both engineering and ethics. Their dinner conversations often mixed structural analysis with philosophical discussions about integrity. "You never seem bitter," she observed one evening. "After everything they did, bitterness corrodes the foundation," Samuel replied. "I prefer to build." The final footnote to the story came when a National Engineering Association created the Estes Award for Ethical Innovation. The citation read, "For those who understand that the strongest structures are built on integrity." Vivian, Andre, and their conspirators had tried to destroy what Samuel had built. Instead, they'd only proved its strength. Their scheme, built on deception, had collapsed under pressure. But Samuel's life, founded on principle and precision, stood stronger than ever. Like the bridge that started everything, it was built to last. And there you have it. Another story comes to an end. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this story, consider joining our community by subscribing. It means the world to us. For more stories like this one, check out the recommended videos on screen. And I'll see you there.